next half hour, I'll be reading from the April 9th issue of the Challenger Community News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And under the subject of area briefs, Majority Leader Peoples-Stokes will not seek re-election. I really want to spend time with my family. I know it's time. At press time, we learned that Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes, one of the most powerful lawmakers in the state, announced that she will retire. During the press conference, she revealed that she will recommend Council Majority Leader Leah Halton Pope as the candidate to replace her. A committee will make the final decision. But that doesn't mean this is how it will be, she said. I just pray to God that at the end of the day, it will be someone who understands state government and has a partner there, understands municipal government, and has a love of people first and foremost. There's nothing about this job that makes you honorable if you are not taking care of God's people. When asked why she decided to retire at this time, she said that she actually tried several times before, but people kept talking her out of it. But when you get a message like the one I got, I'm going to take care of my health. She said she had to go into the hospital for a procedure, after which she would recuperate before returning to Albany and wrapping things up. I know what plans God has for me now. Political. New York first broke the news of Peoples-Stokes' retirement, but news quickly spread. The NAACP, New York State Conference, put out a statement Tuesday afternoon commending Peoples-Stokes for her decades in the Assembly. The state conference is grateful for her courage, her persistence, and her clarity of purpose, the organization said, particularly commending Peoples-Stokes' work in legalizing adult-use marijuana. She never lost sight of who she served or why it mattered. New York is better because of her work. Peoples-Stokes has represented the 141st Assembly District since 2002. She was previously a member of the Erie County Legislature from 1993 until 2002. She ascended to Majority Leader of the New York State Assembly in 2018, becoming the first woman and first African American to hold the position. Major legislative efforts Peoples-Stokes led during her time in Albany including the legalization of adult-use marijuana, toxic waste cleanup, and numerous healthcare and educational initiatives. I believe my legacy in this district is very strong, very bright, she said. My job is helping people, and I've done that. In the next article, we have a statewide vigils held for Daniel Prude. Vigils were held in Rochester and across the state recently, marking the murder of Daniel Prude. Prude was a 41-year-old black man who died in 2020 after a restrictive encounter with Rochester, New York police during a mental health crisis, where officers hooded and pinned him to the ground. His death, ruled a homicide by asphyxiation, sparked intense protest and exposed a cover-up by city officials. The incident took place on March 23, 2020, when police found a naked, unarmed Prude on the street during a mental health crisis. Officers placed a spit hood over his head and pinned him face down to the pavement for over 2 minutes. The body cam footage was not released until September of 2020, leading to claims that city officials concealed the truth. Legal outcome? A grand jury in February 2021 declined to charge any of the 7 officers involved in the arrest. The case fueled nationwide protest and brought scrutiny to how law enforcement handles mental health crises, leading to the creation of a police accountability board in Rochester. The city of Rochester reached a $12 million settlement with the family of Daniel Prude in 2022. The New York State Legislature has not yet passed the full Daniels Law legislation, which aims to replace police with mental health professionals during mental health crises. However, the state created a Daniels Law Task Force in 2023 and funded pilot programs for health-led responses in the 2024 through 2026 budgets. And next we have an opinion piece. Will the real threat to humanity please stand up? Senile warmongers Netanyahu and Trump. Two old men, Netanyahu, born in 1949, 76 years old, and Trump, born in 1946, 79 years old, have enjoyed every privilege this world has to offer. They've lived long lives. They've eaten well. They slept in warm beds. They've held power. They've been celebrated, protected, and enriched beyond imagination. And now, in the final chapter of their lives, they have decided to destroy everything. Not just Iran, not just the Middle East, everything. Global economy, world peace, the future of millions of children, all of it burned to ashes because two bitter old men couldn't stand the thought of leaving quietly. And here's the part that should terrify every human being on this planet. Nobody is stopping them. Not Congress, not the media, not the UN, not the international community, not a single world leader with the courage to stand up and say, enough. We are watching two senile warmongers drag humanity toward the cliff, and the world is just watching, taking notes, writing analysis, publishing source say articles while the bombs fall and the children die. This is not leadership. This is not geopolitics. This is a nursing home escapee revenge fantasy playing out in real time. And it proves something absolutely terrifying. The world is not built on a solid foundation. If two elderly men, one hiding in a bunker, one tweeting from a golf course, can bring the entire planet to the edge of destruction, then what was all of it for? The UN? Useless. International law? A joke. Human rights? A memory. Global corruption? Global cooperation? Dead. We have allowed the future of humanity to be placed in the hands of two evil, desperate, narcissistic old men who will be dead in a decade while the rest of us live with consequences forever. Netanyahu wants regime change. The man can barely change his own diaper without consulting Washington. Trump wants to weaken Iran. He can't even weaken his own craving for attention. And yet, here we are on the brink of World War III because nobody has the spine to stop them. This is what doom looks like, people. Not fire, not brimstone, just two senile psychopaths with access to bombs and zero accountability. The world is not in a solid foundation. It's built on the egos of men who should have retired decades ago. And unless humanity wakes up, unless someone somewhere stands up and says, no more, we will all pay the price for their final, desperate tantrum. History will record this moment with shame. Two old men, one planet, and nobody stopped them. We are doomed. Not because of Iran, not because of missiles, not because of oil prices. We are doomed because we let them get away with it. Shame on them, shame on us, shame on everyone who watches this madness in silence. And next up in local news, Ryan appoints Buffalo's first female police commissioner. Mayor Sean Ryan has appointed Erica Shields as Buffalo Police Commissioner, the first in the city's history, following a several-month-long search. She will resume the role in May. Erica Shields is a proven leader with decades of experience guiding large departments through complex challenges, Ryan said. Her track record of reducing violent crime, getting illegal guns off the streets, and using data and technology to drive smarter policing aligns without vision for a safer Buffalo. Just as opportunity, she understands that building trust, investing in officers, and engaging the community are essential to achieving lasting public safety. Shields previously served as police chief in both Louisville, Kentucky, and Atlanta, Georgia. She resigned in Atlanta after 3.5 years following the police shooting of Rayshard Brooks in a Wendy's parking lot in June of 2020. And next up, we have the column Black History. Garrett Morgan, pioneering black inventor. The next time you're at the intersection on the street, remember who patented the 3-position traffic light. Garrett Morgan, one of America's greatest inventors. Garrett Augustus Morgan was born on March 4th, 1877, to former slaves in Paris, Kentucky. He achieved a lot in his lifetime. However, few were mindful enough to thank him at the time. In fact, he often lost white customers once they learned of his race. On November 20th, 1923, inventor and publisher Morgan patented the 3-position traffic signal. The ingenuity of this signal enabled traffic to do something at intersections other than stop and go forward. The General Electric Corporation bought the rights for the traffic signal from Morgan for $40,000, and the company developed an electric version of his 3-way traffic signal. He used the money to buy land for his family and to donate to black colleges. Morgan was also invented and patented the gas mask. Several men were rescued on July 25, 1916, when Morgan was called to help workers who were trapped 250 feet underground below Lake Erie in Cleveland after an explosion. Morgan, along with his brother Frank and other volunteers, assisted in the rescue while wearing Morgan's safety hood. Morgan received national publicity after this rescue and requests from fire departments around the country for his invention. Although initially he found it difficult to sell to white fire chiefs who refused to buy products from a black inventor. The U.S. Army used the updated mask during World War I. It was patented by Morgan in 1914 as a safety hood and fire protector. Morgan made numerous other inventions, but is widely remembered for his life-saving inventions of the gas mask and traffic signal. In 1920, he also founded a weekly black newspaper in Cleveland named the Cleveland Call. Morgan died on August 27, 1963, in Cleveland, Ohio, at the age of 86. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Challenger Community News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. This next article is local news, and it was submitted by Erie County Comptroller Kevin Harwick. Comptroller announces support for African Cultural Center's new management and future funding effort. will offer free guidance to help other community not-for-profit organizations at upcoming presentation on April 25th. In December, my office published a cultural monitoring report on the African American Cultural Center, covering calendar years 2020, 2021, and 2022. Weeks later, it was covered by the Buffalo News and became a highly publicized story. I regret the negative impact this had on the current executive director, Dr. Leah Angel Daniel, and board president, all of whom came on board at the center in 2023 as replacements for the prior leadership, who were not involved in the circumstances reviewed and have worked diligently to move the organization forward. The African American Cultural Center has a long and important history of serving an unrepresented and underfunded community. As noted, the center has undergone significant leader changes, with new leadership having to face and improve upon several things we noted in our review. My office supports the center's future funding applications and has worked to ensure its current capital funding remains in place. Most importantly, my office seeks to support and provide helpful resources as the new management of the center moves it forward to a new era of service in the community. When we launched the Cultural Monitoring Program in 2023, our goal was to provide oversight, transparency, and support to organizations receiving county funding. The program has identified common issues across many organizations, including insufficient separation of duties and risks associated with lack of proper oversight. Developed in partnership with the Erie County Department of Environment and Planning, the program has strengthened funding applications and streamlined reapplications for numerous cultural organizations. We have since expanded it to additional organizations and contracts across Erie County. One thing was clear: many organizations need help. While we have a duty to perform under law, we want to always approach our cultural assets in the spirit of helping them with policies and procedures that comply with the law and the funding agreements they have with the county. In response to this situation, I am expanding outreach to offer guidance to the broader community. On April 25th from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., my staff and I will host a presentation on nonprofit governance and financial practices at the Delavan Grider Community Center, along the New York State Attorney General, Charities Bureau, and attorneys from Hodgson Ross LLP, who specialize in counseling not-for-profits and tax-exempt organizations. We welcome executive directors, board members, and nonprofit leaders to attend. And next we have an opinion piece by Reverend John Henry Grant, new Police Commissioner Erica Shields. Buffalo must not confuse experience with transformation. By any conventional resume metric, Erica Shields embodies seasoned leadership. She has led major metropolitan police departments and navigated moments of national unrest. Yet, to treat her potential appointment as Buffalo's next police chief as a routine administrative decision is to misunderstand the moral weight of this moment. Buffalo is not merely hiring a police chief, it is choosing a philosophy of public safety, and here lies the concern. Erica Shields' tenure in Atlanta ended not in quiet transition, but in rupture. Following the police killing of Rayshard Brooks in June of 2020, Shields resigned amid national protest and a profound crisis of public trust. City leadership at the time acknowledged a deep disconnect between policing practices and community expectations, one so severe that her departure was deemed necessary to begin rebuilding legitimacy. This was not simply an unfortunate incident. It was an inflection point, one that exposed systematic fractures in policing culture and accountability. To be clear, Shields did not personally commit the act, but modern discourse rightly demands more than individual accountability. It demands structural awareness. Leadership is not defined by proximity to harm, but by the conditions under which harm becomes possible. When a department under one's command becomes a national symbol of injustice, the question is no longer competence alone, it is consciousness. Buffalo must ask, what does it mean to import that legacy into a city already grappling with its own history of racial inequality in policing? Some will argue that Shields' resignation was an act of integrity, a willingness to step aside so reform could move forward. But resignation, while symbolic, is not synonymous with transformation. Stepping down may create space for change. It does not, in itself, constitute change. Buffalo does not need symbolism, it needs reimagination. Her subsequent movement through other cities facing similar crises raises an additional concern. The recycling of leadership within American policing. Too often, the same frameworks, philosophies, and approaches are repackaged and redeployed, rather than fundamentally rethought. This cycle risks maintaining systems rather than transforming them. Experience, then, must be interrogated. Experience in what? Maintaining order or cultivating justice? That distinction is not rhetorical. It is fundamental. In this post-2020 era, communities are demanding more than incremental reform. They are calling for an epistemic shift, a redefinition of public safety itself. Buffalo stands at that crossroads. The appointment of a police chief is not merely operational, it is ideological. To move forward without rigorous public examination of Shields' record, philosophy, and vision would be to privilege resume over reckoning. This is not a call for dismissal. It is a call for clarity. If Shields is to lead Buffalo, she must demonstrate not only experience, but evolution. She must articulate clearly and convincingly how her leadership will depart from the paradigm that had eroded trust in communities across the nation. Buffalo deserves leadership that does more than manage a department. It deserves leadership that restores legitimacy. Until that case is made, skepticism is not cynicism. It is civic responsibility. And finally, under local events, letters from a Birmingham jail if Martin were here today. A series of performances have been scheduled beginning Saturday, April 18th, of Dr. Martin Luther King's Letters from a Birmingham Jail if Martin were here today. Performances are free and open to the public. The schedule is as follows. Saturday, April 18th, 6 p.m., Michigan Street African American Heritage Center, 119 Broadway, corner of Ellicott Street. Sunday, April 19th, 2:30 p.m., Frank Merriweather Library at 1324 Jefferson Avenue near East Utica. Thursday, April 23rd, 7 p.m., St. Martin du Pre's Church, 555 Northampton Street, near the Science Museum. And Saturday, April 25th at 6:30 p.m., and Sunday, April 26th at 5:30 p.m. at the Buffalo City Ballet Black Box Loft Theater at 307 Leroy Avenue, near Main and Fillmore. All venues are wheelchair accessible, with the exception of the ballet's Black Box Loft Theater. For more information, you can call Celeste Lawson at 716-374-1070. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the April 9th issue of the Challenger Community News. We read from the Challenger Community News every Saturday at 8:30 a.m. Your reader has been Margaret Mack. Thank you for listening.
Your Niagara Radio Reading Service now presents a reading of articles and features from the Buffalo News for April 19th. Your reader today is Ron Bickelman. Let's take a look at the Western New York forecast. Much colder today with variable cloudiness, breezy with rain or snow showers in spots this afternoon, high of 45. A rain or snow shower in spots this evening, low 29. Rather cloudy tomorrow. A jacket may come in handy, high 38. Tuesday, high 53. Wednesday, some sun, high 58, low 41. Thursday, partly sunny and nice, high 64, low 49. Your Niagara Radio Reading Service now presents a reading of articles and features from the Buffalo News for April 19th.